Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're going to give folks a couple moments to join us, and then we will dive in. You are in the right place.
Thank you.
All right, I think we have most folks, and I know some people may pop in as we go forward. Hello, everyone. Welcome. All right, I think I'll go ahead and start, and then I know people will join as they can get connected. So good evening. So good to see all of you. My name, as you probably remember, is MB, and I work in Famer, Philadelphia. Welcome to Nonverbal Communication Skills. I'm very happy to be with you this evening. And we have two pieces of business before we dive into our content. The first piece is I want to arrange for a comfort prayer break halfway through the session. I was thinking of doing it at 7 o'clock your time, from 7 to 7:10, but I am very flexible on when that happens. Would anyone like to suggest a different time? If so, please raise your hand. Okay, good. So it looks like 7 o'clock is best for a break. And of course, if you need a little more time than 10 minutes, you can always take it and then join us whenever you can. The second piece of business is I know we have 6 moderators who will help me out throughout this session. Thank you in advance, all of you. And you should have received, I believe on WhatsApp, 2 documents. One is a photo, and the other is secret instructions that you will not share with your group because they are secret. So moderators, please check your WhatsApp and just make sure that you have those documents. And if you don't, you can send me a message in the chat. All right, I think that takes care of our business. So hello, please, if you would for the moment, mute yourselves so that we don't get overlap of sounds. I know that many of you have already completed the asynchronous session that comes before this one. That was called Body Messages. And that session studied how a congruous message differs from an incongruous message to the listener. So a congruous message being one in which the voice and the body do the same thing, an incongruous message being one in which the voice and body are doing 2 different things. So thank you for taking a look at that material. There are 2 more options. I think that might be, there we go. Thank you, Amira. All right, so I'm getting a chat right here from Nihal. I just want to take a quick look at it, see if there's any issues. Great, so it looks like, Nihal, you may need to receive the secret instructions as well. So I wonder if we could go ahead and try sending Nihal the secret instructions. And if you don't receive them, Nihal, in the next couple of minutes, and Basma, I don't think that you are a moderator, so you should be okay. So only the moderators would have received these 2 documents. All right, and it looks like Mira also has received the photo, but not the secret instructions. So eventually, when we get closer to the exercise, we will make sure all the moderators have both of these documents. Thank you so much. So let us dive into, thank you, Hamza. She's going to send everything. Let us now dive into our content. I want to share with you first the core question that we will examine over the course of all these sessions, the asynchronous and the synchronous session. So I will share my screen with you. And hope you can see this core question. So please read this. And what I'd like to point out about this core question is there is a lot of discussion in medical education about how the facilitator's communication affects the listeners, the learners. But I'm also interested in how our communication affects ourselves. Do we feel confident when we are communicating? Do we feel in command of our material? Do we feel that our learners are understanding, or do we become frustrated that we are not communicating effectively? So I don't want to leave ourselves out of the equation. So today we're going to look both at how it affects our learners and how it affects us as the facilitators. Next thing I'd like you to take a look at, having a little trouble with my cable. These are our goals for this entire session, not just today. Please read these. We will cover the first 3 of these in today's synchronous session. The last 2, assessing your individual strengths and challenges and brainstorming how you might use this material, I will ask you to do in a very short 15-minute asynchronous session right after we finish tonight. If you need to do it tomorrow or the day after, that is okay too. But you will get to those individually. We'll do the first 3 all together. So to start, we want to study something I call body shape. And now I'm going to bring you back to me because I miss you. So when I talk about body shape, I do not mean how fit you are, how many miles you can run, how much weight you can lift. When I talk about body shape, I am talking about the messages that we send with our entire bodies. So every minute of every single day, we are sending messages to other people. Much of the time, those messages are unconscious, and we don't even know that we're sending them. But as human beings, we are so profoundly perceptive that we pick up messages from other people all the time. So the question that most intrigues me, we already know that what we think and what we feel can affect our bodies. So I'm going to adjust my screen a little and say, let us pretend I've had a very bad morning. One of my children was misbehaving. I had a fight with my husband. And when I come into work, I may be like this. And my coworkers will notice. They may say, what's wrong? So we already know that our thoughts and feelings affect our bodies. But does it work the other way? Can what we do with our bodies dictate how we think and how we feel? That's what I want to examine with you first. So I am going to describe to you a body shape, a full body gesture. Then I'm going to demonstrate it for you and ask you to do it with me. Then I'll have you hold that body shape for about 1 minute. And while you're doing it, I will ask you certain questions that I want you to reflect upon. You don't need to answer these questions. They're just for you to think about thoughts and feelings that arise when you are in that body shape. After 1 minute, you are free. You can shake it off, and we will discuss what we learned. Now, you will notice that I have to unplug my corded earbuds. I have been told these are much clearer than my AirPods. But in order to demonstrate things, I will need to unplug. So the sound will change radically, but only for a short time. So our first body pose is what I call seated fetal. And here's the description. Sitting in a chair, I want you to press your knees and your feet tightly together. Then I'm going to ask you to wrap your arms around your torso. I'll ask you to lean forward and look down. Now I'm going to demonstrate it so you can see it a little more clearly. So I'll push all the way back to here. My knees and my feet are stuck together. I am sitting. I'm going to wrap my arms around my torso, lean forward, duck my head. So if you would, please assume this body shape. Please squeeze your knees and your feet together. Wrap your arms around your torso, lean forward, and look down. And I'd like you to hold that shape for 1 minute, starting now. And keep holding that shape. And while you are living inside this body shape, I'd like you just to notice, do any feelings come up for you? And just notice, you don't have to say out loud. Are there any thoughts that begin to revolve through your mind based on this body shape? You have about 20 more seconds. Please continue with the body shape. Studying your thoughts and your feelings. All right, we are done. You can shake that body shape off. Thank you very much. Now I'm interested in hearing from you. What did you notice? Did any thoughts or any feelings pop up when you were in that body shape? If so, please raise your hand. Yes, Nagla, what did you notice?
Actually, nothing. I feel self-centered and just thinking, not thinking, just clear mind, just clear mind. Hope this is not a disappointing response.
No, no, it is different for absolutely everyone. I have had people say that they felt very comforted. I have had other people say that they went kind of empty as if they were meditating. So it's different from person to person, and there is no right answer. Mira, what about you? What did you notice?
I believe I'm similar to Dr. Naglia. I feel much more clarity of mind, and I need to do that more again.
Yes, it would be helpful at the end of a long day, wouldn't it? Yes. Basma, what did you notice?
I've noticed it's a good time to practice my breathing exercises and to relax a bit. So I thought that maybe I should do this 1 minute, like twice a day, three times a day would be a good idea.
Excellent. I love it when what we study can be immediately used. Thank you very much. Nihal, what did you notice?
I noticed that maybe I was a little bit tense and stressed out. I don't know why, but when we finished the exercise, I was much relieved and much relaxed.
Excellent. Oh, I'm delighted that this was so positive for so many people. Very nice. All right, let us try another one. And again, anything you feel is fine. There is no right answer. I also want to remind you that you are always in charge of your own body. So if I ask you to do something that is uncomfortable in your neck or your shoulder or your back, stop the pose immediately if you feel discomfort. Your health and well-being is more important to me than any exercise we ever do. This next one I base upon my nephew. He is a teenager and he adopts this pose all the time. So I will describe it first and then I will demonstrate it. In this pose, we are standing. We put all our weight into one hip. We put one hand on that hip. We let the other arm dangle, and then we stare up at the ceiling. So my nephew does this, especially when I have asked him to do something he does not want to do. I get this pose. So now I will demonstrate it, and you'll notice that my sound is changing. Lift this so you can see. It's a little tricky. There we go. So my feet are about shoulder width apart. I put all my weight into one hip. I put a hand on that hip, this arm dangles, and I look at the ceiling. So please assume this pose with me if you can stand wherever you are. So thank you. Please stand wherever you are. And if you can put all your weight into one hip, put your hand on that hip, the other arm hangs free, and then look up at the ceiling. I'd like you to hold this pose for 1 minute. If your neck does not like it, feel free to relax or stretch your neck. 1 minute starting now. And keep holding that pose. Please relax your neck whenever you need to. I don't want anyone getting hurt. And just notice if this body shape provokes any feelings or any thoughts. What does it do to your emotions and your thinking? You have about 20 more seconds. Please relax if you need to. And we are done. Thank you. Shake that off. You can sit again if you would like. Thank you for doing that. And now I'm interested in your experience with that pose. Did you notice any thoughts or any feelings rising up in that body shape? Nagla, what did you notice?
Just negative energy or negative feeling. I just this is what I felt.
Yes, I have heard people say, I want to argue. And that is what my nephew does. As soon as I see that pose, I think, okay, now we're going to argue. Yes. Mira, what did you notice?
I believe your nephew is very smart. I felt freedom.
Oh, interesting. I wonder if that is partly because you are looking up, and
Maybe.
sometimes where we place our visual focus can affect what's happening inside us. Oh, very interesting. Amr, what did you notice?
Well, I felt that as if I'm not interested in whatever, I'm not listening. I don't care. This is what the kind of feeling that I felt.
Yes. Yes, thank you very much. That's very appropriate. I think sometimes if our eyes are taking us out of our immediate environment, that can be an escape, that can be a relief, but it is often a detachment. I am detaching from what's around me and thinking of something else. Nihal, what did you notice?
Actually, this is my posture when I am about to avoid the argument. If I'm not interested in the argument, that would be my pose.
That's
That's why I didn't
excellent.
feel like I'm doing something different.
Well, that helps me understand my nephew. Maybe he's trying not to argue.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking he's trying to argue. Oh, I have to rethink everything. All right. Thank you very much. We will do one more of these and then we'll move forward. This pose I call superhero. With this pose, I am standing. My feet are wide apart. My fists are on my hips and I am looking into the distance. So now I will demonstrate for you. So my feet are wide apart. My hands are on my hips. I am looking into the distance as if I am strong and proud. So please assume that shape if you would. So if you would please stand, feet wide apart, fists on hips, looking off into the distance. Please hold this for 1 minute, starting now. And as we've done before, while you're holding this position, notice any thoughts or any feelings that might pop up. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? You have about 20 more seconds. Please take a break if you need one. And let us end there. Thank you so much. You can shake that off and resume your seat. So tell me about that. What did you notice? Did you notice thoughts or feelings that arose? Nagla.
Confident, optimistic, in control.
Excellent. Yes, we have a very wide base, which gives us this feeling of being in command of ourselves. We are looking forward into the future, can give us a sense of hope. Excellent. Amr, what did you notice?
Well, usually this is the kind of posture when I'm angry at something and I'm going to shout after this. I'm angry with my kids and I'm going to shout after a couple of seconds.
Excellent. So everyone, if you see Amr do that, run away. Very, very good. Thank you so much. Nihal, what did you notice?
So the first thing came to my mind, I thought that we will be raising the other arm like Superman. So it gives us like a superpower or something. Yeah.
Yes, very nice. And of course, there are superhero movies now everywhere. And on the posters, there is always at least one person standing like that. So now you can pretend you are a movie star in a superhero film. Ooh, I'm getting a little echo from someone. Thank you very much. So we have now examined a little bit how our bodies might influence our thoughts and feelings. I want to turn that around. Now I want to examine what messages our body shapes can send to others. And this is very interesting to me because, again, we pick up these messages hundreds, if not thousands of times a day. So let us dig into that. In a few moments, we're going to break into 6 groups, and we have a moderator assigned to each group. Thank you so much, moderators, for agreeing. Each moderator is going to have a photo that shows a human figure in some kind of body shape, some kind of pose. Your job with your group is to come up with 3 positive messages and 3 negative messages you might receive from that body shape. And moderators, your job will be to make sure that your group gets both 3 negative and 3 positive, and that you write them all down. Then when we come back into the large group, we will share what we discovered. The hardest thing sometimes with these body shapes is coming up with 3 positive and 3 negative, because some of the shapes are very hard to interpret. For example, if I gave you a body shape that looked like this, it can be very hard to find a positive message in that body shape. But do your best with your group so you have 3 positive and 3 negative. Let me see if there's anything else. I'll give you 10 minutes to brainstorm. Is there any moderator who does not have a body image photo? I think it might have been in your WhatsApp, perhaps. Everybody has one? Great. If you don't, let us know. We will send you one. I'm going to put these same instructions up on the slide that you can all take a photo of or a screenshot. We'll give you a few moments to do that, and then we'll separate you out into 6 groups. So here comes your instructional slide. And if you'd like to take a screenshot of this, please do. And administrators, I think we can give folks 20 seconds, and then we can break them into our 6 groups. All right, great. I'm going to stop this share now. And all right, I think we are ready to go into our breakout rooms. Thank you, everyone, for your good work. Do not worry if you didn't get through, if you didn't get all 3 positive and negative. Some of you had a little more time than others. All right, terrific. So what I'd like to do now is I will bring up on screen share each of these images, and whichever moderator had that image, I would love to hear from you about what your group found. So here we'll go to screen share. And here we have image number 1. Whichever moderator had this image, please tell us, what did your group find in this image?
So that was my group.
Great.
So we thought that he's having more than actually 3 positive messages that he's trying to tell us. So he looked confident, and he was well groomed. His posture was telling us that he was comfortable in that posture, as if he's meditating, and he was focused as well.
Very
So
nice.
these were
Thank you.
the things that we thought that were the positive messages. On the other hand, the negative messages that we thought that if he was talking to somebody or trying to communicate to somebody anyway, he's looking away, and that gave us a hint that he may be arrogant person. And despite that, we liked his outfit, we did not like his shoes or the way he folded his trouser.
That's excellent. So we're getting a little fashion advice at the same time.
Yeah. And it was from an unexpected member of the group, actually. And
guilty as a charged.
Ali, I knew it was you somehow. I don't know why.
Fatma as well, she commented on the trouser. And at the same time, we thought that he is maybe a selfish guy because he was sitting in the middle of the chair. He did not give others a chance to sit with him.
Oh, very nice. Lovely detail in your group's responses. So let's examine this a little bit. So first of all, one of the biggest messengers of body shape are the limbs. So are the limbs open? Are the limbs closed? So closed would be any limb that is crossed. And as you pointed out, he looks pretty comfortable, relaxed, and confident because his limbs are open. So we think, oh, this person is comfortable in his own skin. But also, as you correctly pointed out, he is not looking at the viewer. He is looking away. So there are 4 places that we can put our visual focus. And I will quickly go through them with you, and then we'll see many more examples of these. The first one is eyes out. And that means eyes are simply on the immediate environment, on the other people in the environment. That is how most of us function most of the time, eyes out. Another visual focus is eyes in. So my eyes are open, but my concentration is on what's happening in my brain. Eyes in. Another is eyes on the horizon. Now it looks to me like this person's eyes are on the horizon, that he is looking at something in the distance. Perhaps it is an object, perhaps he is just dreaming or imagining, but he's definitely not focusing on what's happening right in front of him, something far in the distance. And that immediately sends a message to us that his attention would not be on us if we walked up to him. He's thinking about something else. The other visual focus would be eyes to the side. And that is the hardest one for us to understand because it could be eyes on the horizon. It could be eyes in. It gives many, many messages. So I very much appreciate that you picked up the open limbs indicating confidence, command, relaxation. The visual focus off in the distance, which makes him seem maybe arrogant, maybe detached. Nicely done. All right, let us move forward. Good job, group. And get my cursor over here. Whoever had this shape, please tell us what your group found.
So I'm the moderator for this group, and as regard the negative feelings that we agreed that this photo carries is anger. She's angry
Mhm.
somehow,
Sure.
maybe feels irritated or irritable because of something, and frustrated because of something.
Mhm.
As regard the positive uh, side, it was a little bit confusing, but
Mhm.
somehow we agreed on that this lady is determined on something, uh, concentrating or focusing to
Mm.
do a particular thing. Uh, Maybe she is confident to do this thing. So it's about self-confidence in something in particular, determined and concentrating or focusing.
Very nice. Thank you. Excellent. And yes, I agree with you that this one is a little complicated to interpret. There's a lot going on here. So let us look first at her limbs. We see that with this person, her limbs are closed, both her legs and her arms. So there is a protective impulse, perhaps. Also, her visual focus is in the distance. So just like the person ahead of her, the other image, she is concentrating on something outside of her immediate environment and perhaps dreaming or imagining something. I also want to point out with this person, spinal orientation. So this is another big messenger for body shape. Our spines can go straight up, which usually indicates alertness, forward, which indicates interest, but her spine is collapsed down. So between her collapsed spine and her crossed limbs, she looks like she is trying to protect herself or perhaps comfort herself. And then, of course, we had the huge indicator of her facial expression. The other thing I want to bring up using this figure is the idea of context. So pretty much any interpretation we do of body messages has to include context, and that also includes culture. But let us say that I told you this person was sitting at a funeral. Well, then we may get one set of messages from what we see. But what if I told you this person was sitting at a wedding? Then there's a whole other thing going on. Maybe she thought she should be marrying the groom. I don't know. So context is a really big determinant of what messages we take. So thank you so much, group. Well done. Let's try our next one. I really enjoy this one because some of my students look like this. So whoever is the moderator for this, tell us what you found.
There is three negative, boring, uncomfortable, and distracted.
Uh-huh. Excellent.
Positive, overwhelming, concentrated, surprised.
Thank you very much. I like surprised, yes, especially because his mouth is hanging open. So he is astonished at something. Very nice. So let us examine him using the indicators we've already discussed. His limbs are open, which is an indication that perhaps he is open as well. His spine, look at his spine. It is back and to the side. When we see that, we tend to interpret that as either relaxation or as detachment. Often, if the spine is to the side, like this guy's is, it can indicate skepticism, discomfort. So we look at this figure and we immediately say, he may be open to receiving a new person or a new idea, but somehow he's uncomfortable. Something is distressing him. We're not sure what. Look now at his eyes, his visual focus. Maybe he's looking at his teacher who is up on a pedestal. I don't know. But if not, he's gazing into heaven. He's definitely not looking at something in his immediate vicinity. So that again gives him this appearance of being detached from what is happening immediately around him. Perhaps he is trying to understand a lesson that is too complicated. Perhaps he is realizing that he just failed the test. Yeah, so something is definitely going on with this person. The other thing I want to point out using this figure is another way that we interpret body shapes is through clusters of gestures. So no one single gesture can really convey meaning. We look for clusters. So we look at his limbs, we look at his face, we look at his eyes, we look at his spine, we even look at his feet, which are not planted on the floor. His feet are rolling around down there. All of those gestures combine to give us information, but any one single gesture on its own would not be enough information. Thank you, very well done. Let's take a look at another one. I have seen this before. All right, whoever has this, whatever
Yes.
moderator had this, yes.
Yes, we have three positive points. The first one here, open hands, indicating that she is willing and able to receive any other ideas or new ideas. She is thinking about, her minds are on. And what attracted us is her classic stylish outfit, which indicating her responsibility towards the professional situation she is in.
Excellent, very nice.
For the negative, she is responsible anyway. Okay, for the negativity regarding her eye contact, says her eye is in.
Yes.
Shows it maybe indicates some kind or some degree of disappointment. At the same time, she is wondering about something or asking about something. Her posture, the lower arm, will not relaxed, a little bit stressed. Dr. Hussein added an important point, neither negative, neither positive, that she is thinking about what's going on later, what's next step. Maybe it indicates a sense of some kind of a lack of confidence, like did I did that well, or what should be happen after? This point is not a negative nor a positive point, I believe that. Maybe she is looking for prospectively what's going to happen later. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Very nice. Your observations are so detailed, all of these groups. I really appreciate that. So we can see her limbs are open, absolutely. But I think what was very important about what you pointed out is there seems to be some muscular tension in her arms. And muscular tension is another indicator for us of messages, of body messages. If someone's muscles look relaxed, that sends a very different set of messages than if someone's muscles look tense. So this says to me that either she is restraining herself from doing something, or she is preparing herself to take action. But her muscles are definitely engaged. I also appreciate that you pointed out her eyes. So her eyes are slightly to the side, but I think you're right. I think the eyes are in. She is examining something going on inside her own head. And the fact that she has a very neutral look on her face, that also makes me wonder. It makes me ask questions. Is she angry? Is she just thinking? Did she just receive bad news? Is she upset with her employees? Not sure. So thank you. Excellent. Very well done. I think we can get to one or two more before we take our break. So let's try that. All right. Who had this photo?
Yes, we had this photo.
Great.
Okay, the positive things were that she looks confident. Also, the look on her face seems that she's interested, focused, and maybe amused, happy, interested, enjoying the conversation that's going on. The negative things, they were a bit difficult. However, what we came out with was that she looks, or she seems her costume and the man next to her, they look formal. However, the way she's standing is not very formal. The bent leg. Also, she's standing very close to the person next to her, almost leaning on him, and this is not formal in a formal context. The other thing is that her hands, the way she's putting one hand on her stomach and the other one maybe holding a necklace or something, it's not very clear. This gives
Mhm.
that she's trying to protect herself in a way or another, or maybe she's taking a defensive posture, although she's happy. That's it.
Yes, thank you. So I very much appreciate your observations because this for me is an image with many mixed messages. So we have someone who is smiling and who appears to be looking at perhaps someone in the immediate environment, but the position of her arms looks a little protective. And then the way she's standing, that also, it doesn't look to me that her weight is fully balanced on both feet. It looks like the weight is maybe more in one leg than the other. And that conveys to me a feeling of slight instability. So I wonder if there is something in this person's immediate environment that is making her uncomfortable. Is it that the person next to her is standing too close? Is it that she's about to deliver a paper and that's making her nervous in front of her peers? But I am definitely getting just what you got, a mixed message about her comfort level. And all of that is only coming from her body shape. Great. Let us take a look at our last one, and then we'll take our break.
Hello.
Hello.
This is a formal context indeed. Again, there is a mixed messages in this photo. Let us start with what could be the positive messages. There is a sense of engagement, determination. He's focused and confident. Regarding the negative messages, he seems to be angry, bored, or maybe there is a sense of skepticism in this photo. My colleagues further added there is a sense of superiority in relation to the surroundings. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. So another figure with many mixed messages. So first we'll look at his limbs. They are closed in different ways. It almost looks like what he's doing with his legs is meant to look casual, but it certainly does not look comfortable. But the tension, the muscular tension in his upper body, especially the hand that is in front of his face, that sends a very strong message. And this, I think, connects to what your group found. Is he feeling superior? Is he feeling angry? Is he feeling defensive? It is protective, but it also may be a little aggressive. There's something about the muscular tension that really catches my eye. So again, context plays in. If I said to you, this person is a family member in a hospital waiting room, that would reinforce one set of messages. If I said to you, this person is at a big holiday celebration, that sends a whole other set of messages. So this is where context would come in very handy because we are receiving a mixed message from this person. Well, terrific. I'm going to bring you back to me so I can see you briefly before our break. So from this exercise, it is clear that we can interpret body shape very easily. We're all extremely skilled at it. We're able to pull out positive and negative messages, even when we have a very confusing example in front of us, a strange body shape. Let us briefly review the things that we referred to in order to collect our messages. Oh, there goes my alarm telling me we're coming up on our break. So we took a look at the context. We discussed how context can change body messages. We talked about clusters, that we look at many different gestures on a single body to collect information for a message. We looked at where the spine is going. Is it up and forward? Is it back and detached? Is it off to the side? We looked at limbs, open or closed. We examined facial expression when we could see it. We looked at visual focus. Where were the eyes focused? Out with us, off in the distance, internal. We also examined muscular tension. And all of these things mixed together send us messages that we receive, whether or not we want to. We pick them up unconsciously, and we also deliver them unconsciously. So we're going to continue our exploration in about 10 minutes. Please take your break. We'll come back at 7:10 your time. And if you need a little more time, that's absolutely fine. Thank you for your excellent work. I will see you in 10 minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I know some folks may need an extra minute, and that is absolutely fine. So I want to dive into a new exercise that gives us a chance to practice applying some of what we just learned about body messages. I am going to show you a pair of human figures. One will be marked A, one will be marked B, and I would like you to use the chat. And in the chat, I would like you to tell me for each pair, which of those two figures you feel would be most appropriate in your professional setting. So I'm asking you to evaluate their body shape in a professional context. And then I want you to tell me why you've made the choice you've made. So let me give you an example. I'll share my screen here for just a moment. So here we have two human figures. So I may write in the chat, I think B would be more appropriate in my professional setting because the way that A has her hands on her hips looks playful, too playful for my professional setting. So very simple, very straightforward. But for each one, I'd like you to make your choice and then tell me why. All right, here we go. Please choose either A or B and tell me which you think is most appropriate in your professional setting. I'm going to come over here and see if I can see more of the chat. Okay, and I'll just point out before we move on that we will be influenced by what these figures are wearing. So we see in A, someone dressed very casually. We've seen this figure before. In B, someone dressed more professionally. Absolutely, you will be influenced, but also challenge yourself to look beyond the clothing and look at what the person is doing with their body. Excellent, thank you. All right, let's try another. A or B, which would be most appropriate in your professional setting and why? And feel free to think back to our list of body shape messages. What are these people doing with their spines? Where are their eyes focused? What is their degree of muscle tension? Very nice. Let's try another. These are a little hard to see, but please forgive that. You won't be able to see the man's facial expression. But which is most appropriate and why? Excellent. Great. Let's try another. We're just kind of sharpening our eyes here. Again, a little fuzzy image, but you can see what the overall body is doing. Which of these two would be most appropriate and why? Excellent, thank you. And let's take a look at these two. Again, we will be influenced by what they are wearing, but see if you can look beyond that. This one may be a little harder to distinguish, which is part of the reason these figures are in there. Okay, we'll try a couple more and then we're going to move forward. Again, these two figures are in similar poses, but there are subtle differences where they're focusing their eyes, the level of muscular tension, which might be most appropriate in your particular setting. Obviously, A's clothes would be less appropriate, but what they're doing with their bodies might change that. All right, let's try another one. Thank you. You're getting very fast at this. It's excellent. And again, we will be influenced by what people are wearing. But notice the degree of muscular tension. Notice what the people's spines are doing, whether limbs are open or closed. And of course, context would change many things, right? And it may change your answer. Good, I'm enjoying some of these responses. This one is a little trickier. The differences between pose A and pose B are very subtle. Is one more appropriate to you? And if so, why? Okay, I think we're going to try just one more. This one is very strange, but I had to throw this very strange person in. Again, the image is a little fuzzy, but if you had to choose one of these to be more appropriate, which would it be and why? Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm going to bring you back to me because I miss you. I want to see all of your faces. There we go. Great. Thank you so much. So my hope is that your eye is beginning to tune in to all the various body messages. So one of my jobs at Famer, and you've heard me mention this again in the cultural sensitivity session. You heard me mention this before. One of my jobs is to take our unconscious processes and bring them into the conscious mind. So all of these body messengers, these messages we're collecting from the human figure, you already do this. You do this thousands of times a day. You are an expert at it. So all we're doing today is taking that intuitive process and making it deliberate so we can then hone it. We can get better at identifying what we see and articulating why we think it is useful or not useful in our contexts. Now I want to take a big right turn. We're going to go into a small group exercise, but I'm not going to tell you what the point of the exercise is, because if you don't know, it's going to help your learning. So this is the mysterious part of the seminar. So in a few moments, we're going to break into 6 groups, and each of those groups will have the same moderator as before. So thank you very much, moderators. And my hope is that you will be receiving shortly, I believe in WhatsApp, secret instructions. Those will go just to the moderators. So moderators, make sure you've received those and read them, but keep them to yourself. Do not share your secret instructions with your group. So once we break into our 6 small groups, here's what I'd like you to do. I want you first to elect one person to be a speaker. It can't be your moderator, so it has to be someone other than your moderator. Speaker, I would like you to tell your group the story of a very enjoyable event that you recently attended. Now, you may have to speak for a good 5 minutes. So think of something you really enjoyed. You'll add as much detail to it as you can. If you start to run out of ideas for what to say, group, you can absolutely ask questions to keep the story going. So the point is that the speaker talks and talks and talks until we bring you all back into one big group. So first thing is you elect your speaker. Speaker, you speak on an enjoyable event for as long as you possibly can. While you're doing that, speaker, your moderator has a secret task. Group, your idea is to listen as fully and completely as you can. Your listening is a big part of this exercise. Now, speaker, I have one more thing to share with you. I would prefer that you speak in your first language, as long as everyone in your group understands that language. So, for example, if you would prefer to speak in Arabic, but there's one person who doesn't speak that, then perhaps you speak in English. But it would be best, speaker, if you use your native language. Now, in a moment, I'm going to put up a slide with instructions that you can take a screenshot of or a photo of. But let me ask first, are there any moderators who did not receive their secret instructions? All right, looks like we're all set. So let me share my screen and I will give you the instructions for this exercise that you can then take a screenshot of. So I think we'll give you 20 seconds, 30 seconds to take this photo, and then we'll break into small groups. You will have 10 minutes because some of that will be eaten up with getting into and out of small groups. Once you're in your small groups, pick your speaker, and speaker, you start talking. All right, going to stop share. And I think we are ready to send folks into small groups. Thank you everyone for your work. Welcome back. I think we are all here. I'll wait just a moment till the groups arrive. All right, thank you so much. Speakers, thank you for doing all that speaking. And groups, thank you for helping anytime they needed help. I know that you were very supportive. So now I would like to take a moment to reveal what I asked the moderators to do. And then I want to hear from the moderators about what they discovered. So I had asked the moderators to listen to the speaker and note anytime the speaker used what we call a vocal filler. So a vocal filler is a sound or a repeated word that does not carry meaning. So it can be, it can also be short phrases. Like in the US, people love to say, you know. So they say, I was walking down the street, you know, and I saw this guy, you know. You know does not carry meaning. It is simply a repeated thing. So before I ask the moderators to tell us how many fillers they heard from their speakers, I want to say two things. The first thing is, every human being in every culture across the globe, in every language, uses fillers. Every single person. So please do not feel bad, speakers. You are just representing the rest of us. The second thing I'd like to say is if anyone spoke in a language other than their first language, we tend to use more fillers in languages that we did not grow up speaking. So say you started speaking Arabic and then you began learning English when you were 4 or 5, you will automatically use more vocal fillers when you speak English. I am a native English speaker. When I speak French, I use twice as many fillers. So now I would like to hear from each of our 6 moderators. And moderators, if you could just tell us how many fillers you noted, and if you noticed some that the person used a lot, if they have favorite fillers. Who would like to go first? No one wants to go first. Amr, thank you very much. What did you notice?
Well, during the talk, I have noticed that at the beginning there were almost few fillers, vocal fillers at the beginning, where there were plenty of thought to be expressed. But maybe after like a couple of minutes of talking, and there is like the ideas ran out, the vocal fillers started to increase,
Sure.
and it's mostly in the form of few like or prolongation at the end of the word of like saying an Arabic word, but it's prolongation of the last word, some sort of a vocal filler, laughing, some sort of laughing to fill the gap, giving sense of humor to the conversation. But the one important thing I've noticed that most of those filler came out more at the end of the conversation when most of the ideas ran out, and there is no more things to offer. But our speaker was a really good speaker, and she was feeling good, comfortable talking. She did not almost use most of the common fillers at the beginning of the book.
Wow, excellent. Very nice. Thank you. And again, let me say, we all do this. Every human being does it. So it's interesting to hear about what you particularly did. Nihal, what did you notice in your group?
So the conversation was between two of the fellows, basically telling, one was telling us specific events and the other one was trying to understand more about the event. So they used some of the fillers, but what I noticed is that the first speaker, maybe at the beginning, she was a little bit anxious because she did not know exactly what was the purpose of this
Yes,
sharing her
yes.
event or experience. But whenever she goes more into the discussion with the other fellow or answers his questions, I noticed that she's using more less fillers actually, and she becomes more confident about what she's saying. So that looked very obvious actually. The other speaker as well, he used some of the fillers when he was talking, the same ones that I'm using now. So in Arabic, maybe a little bit different, but I think that we all tend to use like wa, fa. We all use these
Absolutely.
things more than repeating the words, by the way. So they did not repeat much words. Maybe they repeated the words, which is taban, like means of course, or kaman, which is the same as, or bas, which is that's all. But other words, like it wasn't like that much. I did not notice any much.
Well, what's very interesting is in the first group, the speaker began to use fillers more as the session went on and the ideas ran out. In your group, the speaker used them more at the beginning until she became comfortable, and then fewer later on. Fascinating. Excellent. Mira, what did you notice?
Okay, first of all,
Sorry. No, Amira, that's fine. We'll do you first and then we'll go to Mira. Great. So Amira, please go.
Okay. First of all, although we said that we are going to use our native language, however, there was a mix between English and Arabic, and most of us actually, most Egyptians who know English talk like this, what we call Franco-Arab. We mix between both languages.
Sure.
And there were 35 and contrary to the two previous speakers, they were distributed all over the conversation, with yani, not at the beginning and then going less, no, and not even the opposite. It was all over the conversation. And there were 4 taban, which is of course 9 yani, which is a word that we use very, very frequently, and 3 masalan. But there was no favorite vocal fillers.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I like to call them classics, that most of us have classic fillers that we return to. Thank you very much. And now, Mira, what did you find?
Okay, our speaker was Dr. Amy Bushram, and I believe she is the least human in the globe. On the globe, she used vocal fillers, maybe 5 or less. And you cannot believe that the last enjoyable event that she attended was the PhD defense for a candidate that of whom she was a supervisor for. I think, and at the end she find some laughing, and so okay, the candidate give her some kind of appreciation and acknowledgement at the end of the defense, and posted on the media how much she was very supportive for her. She was more person oriented for her. At the beginning, the event was not so much nice because of the examiners, but at the end of the storytelling, she felt enjoyable because of the acknowledgement she received.
Excellent. All right. Thank you
With,
very much. So some
with
classic fillers.
little amount of vocal fillers.
Yes, that's very impressive. Excellent. Most of us use so many. I have to train myself out of using them because I love to use them. Nagla, what did you find?
Our speaker was Dr. Nabila, and she was telling us a very interesting story about the future she sees for her beloved son. The vocal fillers were distributed all over the conversation. They didn't. They were about 25 filler. They were all maybe she's was يعني over consumed in telling and over pleased in telling this story. I think that the context of the conversation directly relates, and the state of mind of the speaker relates to the number of vocal fillers that is used throughout the conversation. And I think many factors, like what you have said before, the context, the language used, the state of mind of the speaker, many factors determine the number of the vocal fillers. And indeed, I believe the state of mind, when we have a clear mind, we tend to have less vocal fillers, and vice versa. Okay, this is it. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much.
What I want to ask you is, what does the importance of vocal fillers, or what is the message that is given to the listener from repetition of vocal fillers?
Nagla, you win the award for the best transition into the next content section. You have just won the award. That is the next thing we're going to discuss. Now, thank you very much. Is there any moderator we did not hear from? Did we hear from Nizar? Have we heard from all 6 groups? Yes.
Yes. We beginning the story after a minute. The speaker repeated all filler 23. The speaker repeated, you know, you know, you know. And then I asked at each fellow about her feeling this situation, or beginning with and there is obvious the dentist has the same reaction and the same filler.
Thank you very much. Yes. All right. So now let us take Nagla's transition and discuss 2 things. The first thing is, if every human being across cultures, across languages, uses fillers, they must serve a useful purpose. So what could the purpose be? I will offer you a few to think of, and maybe you will have more you want to add. One of the purposes is we tend to use fillers when we are trying to think of something, trying to conceive of the right words to say, find our next thought, but for whatever reason, we are not comfortable with silence. So fillers give us an opportunity to word search or to idea search, and they can come in very handy in that way. Another thing that fillers can do is they can soften conflict. So if I say to someone, perhaps one of my students, you did that very poorly, it is different than if I say, well, you did that poorly. immediately my message becomes softened. It becomes a little humanized. I will see people use these kind of fillers sometimes when they are trying to be very diplomatic. Fillers also allow us to override interruptions. So if we are from a culture that tends to interrupt, fillers can help us hang on to our speaking position while other people are trying to get in. We know that if we pause for a moment of silence, someone else may jump in. So those are some purposes of fillers, but I think Nagla offered some others. You were commenting that it depends on the person's state of mind. And this is very true. So if we are in an intense emotional state and we are trying to articulate our feelings or articulate our thoughts, fillers will show up more often. Sometimes they can be, again, a way for us to search for a word. Sometimes they can also give us a moment to gather our emotions. We are making this sound while we are trying to do something else, like gather our emotions. Now let me open it to you. Are there any other purposes for fillers that you would like to offer? Okay, we will let that be our list for the moment. But now let me ask you, what are the disadvantages of using fillers? Especially using many, many, many fillers. What disadvantages do you see? Nihal, what do you think?
It makes the audience feel that you are not confident about the information you are going to give. It happens a lot in conference presentations, especially when somebody asks you a question after you finish the presentation and then you start using the fillers. It means that either you are not really well prepared or you never came across this information, and that gives really a negative image.
Yes, and I have seen this happen. It has happened to me as well, and it can be very discouraging for the speaker because you may know your content very well, but you didn't expect that question. Ali, what do you think?
Actually, when I attend the lecture and I catch up one of those phrases, I stop focusing on the lecture and start counting them. And yeah, and that's a bummer. I couldn't help it, but I stopped focusing about the lecture. He counted this. Did he know that he has this? Did he know? I know, of course, it's subconscious. He says this a lot of words. Then I'm trying to connect if I attended to another one when I was student. This doctor has that filler, and this doctor has that filler, and it's distracting, as my colleague mentioned.
Certainly, and I have also seen medical students who will imitate professors that have many, many, many fillers. They like to imitate, which is very funny, but also very upsetting. And I saw someone else's hand up. Anyone else want to offer? Nagla, what do you think?
The most disturbing thing about vocal fillers to me when I do it is that I feel that I'm not giving a strong message, a straight to the point message. It makes the audience feels that I'm distracted, I'm not focused, I'm not in a perfect state of mind to give a strong, straight to the point message. I think this is one of the main drawbacks of the repeated fillers in a speech.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's very well put. So some vocal fillers will always be in our speech because we are humans. And as humans, we are creating our thoughts as we say them. But reducing the amount of vocal fillers that we use, especially when we are in a public speaking situation, in front of our classroom presenting at a conference, can be very, very useful. Fewer vocal fillers can allow us to appear confident, in command of our material, and also keep our thoughts more coherent for our listeners. So I urge you to consider reducing the amount of vocal fillers. The question is, how? Because vocal fillers, just like hand gestures, are often subconscious. We are often not aware that we are doing it. So I would like to offer you I think, simple, practical, doable self-study program to train yourself out of any bad communication habit you feel you have. And you can use this program to reduce the number of vocal fillers. So now let me introduce you to this program. We have just a few minutes left. Also, I have to tell you, once you have started to listen for vocal fillers, you will hear them everywhere. So I apologize in advance. For the next 2 days, you will be walking around hearing everyone's vocal fillers. I'm going to share my screen for a moment to show you a very simple self-study program that can help you with any communication issue. This is the program I use to train myself. So please take a look at this slide. There are only 3 parts to this program. So if you'll read through those. So what I recommend is we start with the box that says prepare. So in this self-study program, you choose a class, if you are indeed teaching at the time, that you are very familiar with, you are very comfortable in, you know and trust the students, and you know the content. Choose a very familiar class. Then choose one communication skill. For example, in this class, I am going to leave my limbs open and not cross my arms. Or in this class, I am going to reduce the amount of vocal fillers and allow myself to have a moment of silence instead of using a filler. So the first step is prepare. Choose your class, choose your skill. Second step, teach the class. 2 times during the class, only twice, focus on your skill. The way I like to do this is if I am lecturing from notes, I put a little word in my notes that says vocal filler halfway through and at the end. You can also tape a little post-it to your lectern. 2 times during the class, remind yourself about your skill and attempt to enact that skill. Third step, debrief. When you are done with the class, say you are on your way to your next class, you are going back to your office for some tea, ask yourself 2 questions. What went well about using your communication skill? What could you improve next time? That is it. Then I recommend that you do this self-study program twice a month, every other week, not often at all. This program has helped me because over time, what it does is it gives you a muscle memory of a new communication pattern. But it gives you that memory in little bursts every now and then. It allows you to start changing your communication habit without compromising your delivery of information, your connection with your students. It keeps you from being distracted during a class. If I am trying to change my communication habit all the way through a class, my lecture will be terrible because all I'm going to be thinking about is my communication skill. This is a way around that. Now I'm going to bring you back to me so I can see you. It has been my experience over time that little lessons, little moments of practice over a long period of time changes communication skills. Trying to do anything too quickly or too intensely does nothing more than overload our brains. And we simply can't handle that. When we are teaching to many, many students, teaching very complicated content. So I recommend this approach. That is the sum of the information I want to impart to you today. Now I would like to hear from you in our last couple of minutes. What do you feel you can take away from today's session and use in your professional setting. I would love you to identify a couple of those for us, your takeaways from the session today. Yes, Nagla.
I think indeed it was all informative. However, the last part of your presentation about the self-study program and how this was a very strong tip to me, because we all think that practicing hard every time gives better results. However, when I thought about your approach, that it has to be done uh, um, in an easy way, it will bring more results. I think this is very important. This is one of the most important messages I got today. Thank you very much for this.
Well, thank you. And I would like to say that all of you are already excellent communicators, or you would not be in the positions you are in. Because we are trying to make ourselves the absolute best communicators we can be, the self-study program can help us. But I want you to understand that you already are operating from a very competent base. And sometimes I have worked with professionals who are not, who don't have those basic communication skills. All of you do. So now anything you do will simply raise your excellence. And hopefully that will be the motivation. Turn off my alarm, signaling we're near the end of our session. Nihal, what do you think?
I think this session was an eye-opener regarding the postures, the fillers that I'm using. So I started also noticing what I'm doing actually during the session. If I maintain like a specific posture or I repeated a specific filter, I think it's really a good test of what we do unnoticed actually during our communication with others. Thank you very much for this excellent session.
Well, thank you. And just like vocal fillers with body shapes, once you see them, you can't stop seeing them. So you will be sitting in a movie and you will watch an actor do this and you'll think, oh, that's closed. He shouldn't be doing that. Yes. Heidi, what do you think?
Well, I think I'll take a look to the face first. The smiley faces in the first part of the sessions were the most attractive for me. This is for making a decision. So I think I'll have a smiley face all the time to make a positive impact for my students. And that's one thing. The other things, like what Snehal said, that I'll have to make more concentration on my body language and on my during my sessions, my vocal fillers. I think it's during the story times I'm increasing it, and you said that's okay. We are seeing something out of scientific contents, and this is the feeling, so it's okay. It was a very fruitful session for me. I'm just thanking you very much. It's one of the most fruitful session for me. Thank you.
I'm so glad. Thank you. And because my basic profession is that of an actor, I'm very interested in things you can immediately use. We all get tons of theory in other parts of our lives. I want you to have practical tools. Ahmed, what do you think?
Well, I would like just to start by thanking you for this really lovely, informative session about many things that's very important. And the most important thing to me is the body posture, the body language. I know from the beginning the fact that body language is really important, but the way I'm starting to see this after the session, the way I'm trying to analyze the hand, the eye, where's the eye, the spine, is it straight or not? The muscle tense, is the muscle, is it tense, relaxed? Actually, I feel those items new to me. Despite that, I know that body language is important, but I wasn't able to how to analyze. And I believe that after the session, I might be able to better understand and analyze and trying to apply this for myself before trying to analyze anyone else. I'll try to apply this for myself. So thank you for this.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And Ahmed, please forgive my terrible pronunciation of your beautiful names.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentations. Excellent presentation, informative. For me, I got many information and many hidden experience. For me, the difference between the difference between the reaction and response is the action, and reaction is a response. And I must evaluate what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to move my body language, and then I can read the response for the other people, what they say, what they think, what they thought, what they accept or refuse, and they can evaluate my situations according to the response from the other part. Okay. And thank you so much for this impressive session.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And Mira, you have the last word of the day.
Okay. There are two important or interesting points. The first one is to not to be judgmental so much on ourselves, because our body language is a part of our character. It's okay.
Yes.
As well, it's okay to use vocal fillers. It's okay if expressing our feeling or during storytelling. The second interesting part is in the second activity, when we found no one of us recently had enjoyed a recent enjoyable event or attended an enjoyable event. We were struggling to remember something.
Oh dear.
Okay, we found that we really so much distracted with everyday life activities and responsibilities. So we should pay more attention for ourselves. Thank you so much for your interesting lecture. It's very, very interactive. It's very, very interesting and enjoyable. Thank you.
Thank you. And as always, thanks to all of you. I also want to thank Hamza, Hekmat, Shaima, Magdalene, Randa. They did so much work in bringing this together, and I'm very grateful. They are an excellent administrative team. So thank you, everyone. Please have a wonderful evening. I wish you the best, and I hope to see you again soon. Contact me anytime if I can be of help to you. I am always here. Thank you so much. Bye.